Hi, so this is all about how my client raised $10.2 million in unrestricted revenue from individuals in 12 months without working till 10 p.m. every week. So this little overview of my philosophy of how my client did that and the type of work that I do with nonprofit executives, this is who this is going to be the most helpful for if you actually have individual donors. That includes monthly donors. Monthly donors totally count. Board members who give something personally or their company gives something totally counts. If you have absolutely zero individual donors, and I mean zero, then this is not going to really be very helpful for you. If you're not sure if major gifts is a top priority in terms of revenue, not for you. If you're still thinking about it, if you're still all in on grants and you're questioning major gifts as a priority, not going to be helpful for you. If major gifts is a top priority to meet your goals, you have long-term growth goals in terms of the impact that your organization wants to create. You have a long-term vision, even if that's over the course of the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. This is going to be helpful for you. And if you have a team, if you have at least one person helping you fundraise, even if they are more green or entry level, this will help you. If you're interested in actually becoming a real badass at fundraising, and you want to be a better leader, a better manager, you want to be a better human being, this is going to help. And a lot of my clients are working too much, and it's costing them their health. It's costing them time with their family. It's costing them their ability to do yoga or go for a run as often as they want. It's costing them sleep. And you may question if you can even raise millions of dollars or 5- and 6-figure gifts year round. Because right now, as it stands, you're overworked and your plate is already full as is. So you're thinking, how am I going to actually be able to raise more? There's nothing more I can do, right? This is going to be so helpful for you. You are not alone, okay? So hang with me. And then last thing, if you're really just looking for strategy and tactics, I recommend that you go and listen to my podcast or you go and get some of my mini courses. This isn't really going to be helpful for you because what I do is both professional and personal development. My clients really want to become better leaders, and they're interested in developing their character and becoming more courageous people. And so if that's not of interest to you, all good, no sweat. Just you want to turn this audio thing off because if you just want strategy, there's so many people who can help you with just your strategy. And actually, that's the problem with our industry. So that's part of why I do what I do. If you want to learn about that, stick around. Okay, so hey, I'm Julie Ordonez, and I'm so happy that you're listening. Thanks for taking the time. I am an executive fundraising coach and trainer, and I help nonprofits all over the U.S. raise millions of dollars, unrestricted revenue most of the time, in record time without burning out, without adding more to their plate. They double their individual giving revenue without doubling their workload. Sustainability is the key, and I'm going to show you how we do that and how my clients do that. I got into fundraising originally 16 years ago because I needed a job. I was living in Los Angeles, early 20-something, and in love with my boyfriend, who I am now married to. We just celebrated 14 years of marriage. Woohoo! And love of my life, he's amazing. He works in television. So that was the impetus for moving to the Los Angeles area. And I needed a job. And a friend from church said, hey, I think that you'd be good at fundraising. I had no idea that was a job. I applied, and they knew that I had zero experience. But they said, you know what, we'll train you. And they actually did do that. And I took courses and boot camps on grant writing and on the fundamentals. And it turns out I liked fundraising. This was at a small community center in South Los Angeles, and I was a one-person development department. Sound familiar? Very common story, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything I was doing. I found it challenging and rewarding. I was good at it, but it took a toll on me. I was working way too hard. I was actually getting paid part-time, and I was working over 40 hours a week. My hair was falling out. I lost weight. I was not healthy. I was totally unsupported and given a lot of responsibility. And I was the epitome of a generalist. And as we all say, or have said at one point in our careers, I was wearing so many hats. I was wearing all the hats. And I was meeting the goals, but it was compromising my health. And even though I was breaking my back, I got fired from that job. And my boss said, you know, if this was an event planning, individual giving job only, then I'd keep you on. But it's also about grant writing, and it's also about XYZ things that you aren't the best at. So I'm going to have to let you go. Interesting, right? I was doing everything, even stuff that had nothing to do with fundraising, really. I was writing press releases. I was updating the website because at the time I had some experience with HTML. If you even know what that is. If you're Gen Z, you don't even know what I just said. I just said letters. So I was just doing way too much. And fast forward, I ended up at United Way, top 1% performer at United Way with 93 full-time employees. I raised millions of dollars for United Way of Greater Los Angeles. I had an incredible mentor. I learned some things. I ended up at News Story, incredible housing organization. I was a top performer there as well, raised millions of dollars for them. And I learned that having a better strategy, more courage, being more assertive and a clear communicator, getting better skills, you can raise more money in less time and actually strengthen relationships with donors. The idea is doing less, like doing fewer things and doing them better. And the trap that so many organizations fall into is that in order to raise more money, we need to do more stuff. And this is wrong thinking, and it leads to unsustainable practices. It leads to burnout, because what ends up happening is that you're doing 8 to 10 different things, different ways to raise money, and you're doing all of them okay. Nothing is a bang out success. And it was critical for me to get a mentor, someone who had raised more money than me, who understood a lot of these strategies, who understood the most effective way to raise unrestricted revenue, to help guide me and show me what was possible. And I'm talking like raising 7-figure unrestricted gifts over the phone from people that they had never met before type of mentor. And now I get to teach these things to my clients, which is super rewarding. And they get incredible results. My clients typically 10x their investment with me in just a few months. And this is across the board. This is a typical result, whether you have a huge donor file, you've got thousands of donors, or you have 20 donors. Does not matter. You're in a big market, you're in a small town. Doesn't matter. Across the board, all of my clients know that major gifts is a priority for them, that there is opportunity within their current existing donor community, that their board can do more to step up, and that if they have the right strategy in place, they get better skills, they become a better communicator, that will be the huge unlock. And it is. So typical organizations, right, will set really big goals. There's nothing special about setting big goals. They will write down a fancy strategic plan. They might even hire a consultant to help them write a fancy strategic plan. The executive director, the CEO, will go to the board and say, woohoo, look at our fancy strategic plan. And I've been in those organizations when they unveil this fancy strategic plan that nobody knows how to implement. There is no training on how to get the skills and the guts to implement and execute on a strategy. Have you ever been in those strategic planning conversations? You write down this multi-page plan that's really beautiful, and nobody knows how to operationalize it. Okay, so how does that impact my Monday? What do I do? What does my team do? How do we prioritize our time? These are the biggest questions, and it is very common for no one to have an answer. And it is so wasteful, it's so ineffective. And then what ends up happening is we become slaves to the urgent. We respond to people's ideas, we're reacting, we're putting out fires, we're no longer being intentional and clear about what it will take for us to reach these big goals that we wrote down on this piece of paper. And it's typical to hire consultants who can't actually help you, and they just put more busy work on your plate. So it makes you feel like you're productive, but you're not actually getting closer to achieving your goals. And it's pretty typical, and I did this, to ask for so little from donors, to ask for so little from our board, to be vague, to talk to people only about giving cash and credit cards, when 90% of wealth is non-liquid assets. And if you don't know what I just said, there's a massive opportunity for you in unlocking 10 times, 15 times the size of gifts that you are getting right now from your current donors. And it's common to back down when people go back on their word, when they make really big promises that they don't keep. This is rampant. There is a serious lack of accountability, and people don't know. They don't have the skills. They don't understand that they have permission to hold people accountable to what they said they were going to do. There's a lot of talk, and there's not enough walk to back it up. And this was rampant, and I saw this problem, and there was nowhere where you could go to develop all of these things, right? So what are the ingredients that you need? What is the strategy? And I'm gonna break it down for you, okay? So really, when I started going from raising, hundreds of thousands to millions, 2 million, 5 million, it was about clarifying the strategy. What is the strategy? Really clear. And what does that look like day to day? What does it look like every single day? Not quarterly, not annually, daily. I learned how to negotiate. The big dogs negotiate. They don't actually settle for billionaire crumbs. They negotiate. It's like having investment level conversations rooted in respect, rooted in values, rooted in a shared mission, that if you say that you care about something, then let's back that up with bold action. I learned that bold leadership attracts bold leaders. It attracts bold donors. And business-minded donors respect when I am advocating for my mission. They see that I'm serious about what I claim to be about. There are so many things that negotiation does for you. It puts more respect on you and on your organization with donors. They take you seriously on a whole other level. Understanding how wealth works. I had to understand non-liquid assets. I had to understand how to raise appreciated gifts of stock. Talk and learn about DAFs and what those are, donor advised funds. Learn about profit sharing. All of these different creative ways in which people can give exponentially more if they aren't just thinking about their checking account. You learn how to communicate better. Like, what is the most accurate way to better message your mission and how effective you are as an organization? Nailing that inspires bigger gifts. Leading your board to actually step up and help you rather than just being unhelpful cheerleaders on the side doing nothing. Unrestricted revenue, the most effective way to raise that, the most efficient way to raise that is from individuals. You're not reliant upon government funding that obviously is at risk and changes with shifts in administration, with different leadership, with different people getting elected, and is a reimbursement model anyway. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. Or grants, which you can spend dozens of hours applying and still get $0. There's no guarantee there. Whereas if I can identify and get to know people, identify who the mission-aligned folks are, 1 hour of my time can result in $10K of unrestricted revenue. That is the most efficient way to raise unrestricted revenue. So individual giving and major gifts that's why it's my focus. It allows your organization to be more resilient and flexible, and you can raise more money in less effort, less time output. So there are 2 ways that I help teams. The first is I come on as the co-head of fundraising and executive coach to the CEO, to the VP of development, or to the director of development or the director of major gifts, whoever is the head of that department, and coach the team. I come on as your co-head of fundraising and coach and strategist to help you raise 10 million plus. The second way is I am a trainer and a coach in a group setting of supportive peers like you, EDs and DDs, to help you raise more 5 and 6-figure gifts. Those are the 2 ways: co-head of fundraising or trainer in a group setting. So the 3 things that we focus on to get these results, to raise more money, raise more 5, 6, 7-figure unrestricted gifts from individuals, is strategy, skills, and self. I'll explain what that means. Strategy is, how are you spending your time? This is where we start. Every single client, whether they're in my group or my private co-head of fundraising, we start out by looking at their calendar. Where are you spending your time? And time management, because this is usually the biggest pain point. Too many leaders, too many executives, too many fundraisers are wasting time on stuff that doesn't serve their strategy. And we got to create time, and we got to get more clear on how to best use your time and prioritize it for your goals. We talk about habits. So these are your KPIs. We will identify together what your key performance indicators are. What are the things that we measure on a daily basis that will actually move the needle towards achieving your goals? This is what I mean when we are operationalizing your strategic plan. Then we'll do quarterly planning. This is inside of one of my courses. There's a mini course on how to do quarterly projections for you and your team. So that's strategy. The next is skills. You learn how to have powerful conversations. Conversations with your donors, conversations with your team, conversations with your board that hold them accountable, that push them to greatness, that turn them to just okay or good to really great and high performing. We'll work on your messaging. How do you talk about your mission? How do you talk about your work? What are the stories that you tell? What are the stats that you tell? How do you write an email to get a meeting? How do you make an ask that is the most compelling and accurate way to represent what you do, that will inspire folks to step up and give their best gifts? And then the next is negotiation. You'll learn how wealth works, and you learn how to have respectful and direct conversations where you negotiate. You stop accepting the crumbs and the scraps, and you start advocating for what your mission requires. Ooh, I'm fired up. Okay, and then the last is self. So strategy, skills, and self. This is the leadership culture, character development component of our work. There are things in your mindset, the thoughts that you think, that you need to get more intentional on. Instead of sabotaging, procrastinating, telling yourself fictional stories about why things are happening, you will learn a success mindset on how to deal with these things so that you take action faster. You'll get more courage. There is no way around it. This work requires courage, taking risks on behalf of others' benefit. That's what courage is. You'll learn how to be the most courageous version of yourself. And then leadership. How can you be a better manager? How can you be a better coach to your team? How can you be a better manager and coach to your board members? This is what I'll help you with. So strategy, skills, and self. That's what we go through together in my work with clients. And the results, I still get blown away every single week. I'm so grateful to work with the incredible people that I work with. And like I said, typically clients 10x their investment in 60 days. So for example, Olivia joined Courage Lab in 12 days after joining. She raised a $15K gift, $15,000 from someone who had previously been giving $2,000 a year. She's in a small market. She's an executive director. She has no previous training in major gifts. She does not have a huge list of individual donors. We have Morgan, also in a small market in North Carolina, turned a $250 donor, annual donor, had one conversation. This is after 2 months of working with me. After one conversation, turned that into a $15,000 gift annually. Because she had the right strategy, she got better skills, she learned the messaging, she learned how to have conversations with donors, and she got the courage to do it. This is a development director in her 20s. Incredible. And then you've got clients like Will, who's in Brooklyn, not a small market, right? Has hundreds of donors, annual budget of $2.5 million. And he 14x'd his investment with me in the first 2 months of working together. Raised several six-figure gifts, $800,000, $300,000. And then he raised a $6 million unrestricted gift from a donor who gave $250,000 the year before, $250,000 the year before. I was his co-head of fundraising, helped him to hire a major gifts officer, helped him create a custom strategy. He's got an 89% major donor retention rate year over year. 89% major donor retention. Fabulous. He's the one who raised $10.2 million in unrestricted revenue just from individuals and family foundations. And he does not have, he previously was working so many hours. Oh my gosh, burnt out when we first started and had trepidation working together because he had worked with a consultant before, had a bad experience. I said, hey, look, if you know that major gifts is a top priority for you and you sense there's big opportunity there, but you just don't know how to get it done, I can help you. He said before we were working with Julie, we were reaching our goals, but it was a constant cycle of urgency and a scarcity mindset. And I needed a more sustainable way of working. We needed someone to show us how to do that. We needed to go out and build relationships, and we needed to make bigger asks. In the first 2 months, we raised several $100,000. Right? And then you have Dan, who is a CEO in a town in Ohio, not a big market. And he grew his annual revenue by 25%. And this is all from individuals. This is all unrestricted. Raising high five-figure, 80K, 90K gifts, 60K gifts from folks who were giving 10K previously. And he said, this is a total game changer for me. These folks I continue to work with, even as I'm telling you this. They continue to work with me. So many amazing results are possible, whether you are in a large market, you're in a small market. And if you are interested, if this has been resonating with you, if you know that you need to be working less and doing better, that working more is absolutely not the answer, and that you're currently dealing with the stress of that, of working too much, and that you want to make major gift success a sustainable habit year-round. Maybe you've had recent success, but you want it to become a regular thing for you and your team. You just don't have time to train your team. You're stretched thin there. You need a better strategy. I can help you. So if this resonates with you, if you want to learn more, your next step is to let me know. So you can DM me on LinkedIn. I'm at Julie Ordonez there. Let me know that this resonates and we can hop on a call. I'm happy to share more next steps and how I might be able to help you and your team to raise more major gifts without adding more to your plate. Thanks so much for listening.